video.
Hey folks, it's Chad Sorci, Smarthouse Lending. I've got Richard Paris here, a friend I haven't seen in a while. Just shows the power of LinkedIn and social media.
Absolutely.
Used to work with Richard, 4 or 5 years ago.
Over at Integrity.
Yeah. And we kind of linked up here, and Richard's in the process of setting up his own business. What is
Very
it?
sure.
Very sure.
And what we typically do is we do mortgage operations support. So for loan officers, loan processors, or also a smaller mortgage company, an individual, like a net branch guy, do QC for them.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to working with you again. You can help me with some of my files, and we'll see what the future holds. I guess this is it's one of those scenarios where you haven't seen somebody in a while, and I always got along with this guy at work. He always helped me. He did a great job underwriting my loans over at Integrity, and I'm looking forward to working with you again. So I'm actually just stopping by here to say hello to Richard today. I don't know, what else has been going on with you?
Well, I've been trying to reach out, of course, to people like yourself, to try to be able to build my base, and let everybody know what I can do for them, and then finding out what people like you, Chad, what are you up to? Because it's been a while since I've seen you and worked with you, so I was excited when I found out that you were doing your own thing too. You weren't working for somebody else. You opened up your own mortgage.
It's been very exciting. I've been trying to network more and get out there using social media. Like I told you, I've been doing mortgages now for like 20 years here in Central Florida. It'll be 21 years next month.
See, I didn't know you were here that long. I, of course, knew you were here when I worked with you 5 years ago at Integrity. But I didn't know that you had that much experience. I just never had a chance to really talk about your background. In a big house like that, you're doing so many loans that you're just kind of concentrating on doing what, being a cog in the machine, so to speak. So yeah, that was a good surprise. But that explained a lot why, when I worked with you, there wasn't a whole lot of scrubbing on your files that I had to do to get them ready for closing. So that helps out.
Yeah, I like to do a strong due diligence up front on my clients. A lot of realtors ask me, why do we want to work with you? I've been using this guy for 5-10 years. And like I tell them, it's basically, it's good to have other sources. An example.
Never put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak.
Yeah. I mean, I've got so many different lenders that I work with through my mortgage company, Smarthouse Lending. We deal with good or bad credit. A lot of lenders or realtors, I should say, aren't aware of that they can help somebody that has a 500 credit score.
Yeah, there's a lot of strategies for that.
And another popular question comes up is, how do you work with, self-employed borrowers? And as you know, being in underwriting and...
Well, yeah, because that brings in having to analyze their tax returns, at least for 2 years, right? But from a loan officer's perspective, you're coming at it a little bit different than I would on the underwriting side. But from a loan officer, you're trying to upfront so you don't waste that individual's time to determine. So you're going to really pay attention to their Schedule C, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. And a lot of times people are trying to ask me questions about their debt ratio and how much income do I need to show on my taxes? Maybe a scenario might be like, look, I'm getting ready to file my taxes for last year, 2017. How much income do I need to show on my taxes to qualify? Because you need the 2-year average.
Right.
And there's a lot of various ways to strategize with helping out these self-employed borrowers. We have some other programs because a lot of people, as you know, in Florida, they don't show a lot of income on their taxes. So we have some non-qualified mortgage programs, or they call them non-QM mortgage programs, that we can look at your bank statements.
Now that's a very specific niche product for somebody who is truly self-employed, as opposed to somebody that works for a big company and they're doing consultant work or something like that.
Yeah, it's a lot of work, but a lot of people aren't aware of this bank statement program. They can look at your personal bank statements. Are you funneling money to your personal account, or are you truly using your business bank statement to, for most of your expenses.
Yeah, because a lot of your sole proprietors, they'll do just that. They'll be using the income, and it's really more the company's like a pass through to them. And so the underwriting in those kind of things can actually take a look at both sets to be able to combine and make the proper netting out of what their true income is, as opposed to all of the stuff that's been written, write-offs and stuff like that.
I've had some calls recently about, do you have any hard money lenders out there? I mean, those income back in the day, the stated income loans.
Yeah, well, we used to call them liar loans back in the day.
Yeah, or the ninja loan, no income, no asset. They are out there. Typically, you're going to look at a higher interest rate, 10%. I had one investor that I'm set up with. They offered it was for more of a real estate investor.
Yeah.
This guy had multiple properties. He had like 20 properties that he owned. He had a couple businesses, and the one business was for his real estate. For that true real estate investor, it was actually not a bad rate quote, because I'd shopped around multiple investors, that I work with, and this one particular investor lender that I broker through, they had like 7.25% interest with 30% down. Some of the investors out there are, asking you to put 40-50% down. So
especially after the financial crisis in 2008, that kind of shook things up for the whole industry.
Yeah, a lot of people are looking at, even coming here to buy properties from other countries, and I do foreign national loans.
That is another one that a lot of people out there that are trying to get loans, trying to, drum up business for their mortgage company. There's a lot of people, loan officers out there, that don't have a lot of experience with that. So they don't understand the subtle nuances that are involved with documenting the income, or documenting the bank statements and that nature that goes in, or making sure that they fit your product line before you take the app.
Yeah.
And that's where you come in with a lot of the experience that you've done.
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, we've heard on the radio or seen on TV, the Buyer Ready program. We've heard of it, and that's what I take pride in myself, by reviewing all their income documents up front. Because the worst thing is, like for all the realtors that are out there working really hard, I mean, they've had deals blow up on them at the last moment because they're, the taxes didn't show enough income, or maybe the person decided to leave their job or didn't tell somebody. I mean, we both could talk about stories and things, that you hear out there. And I like to coach my clients up front and tell them, don't go buy another car in the process while you're...
Years ago when I was doing processing, or even prior to that when I was a loan officer at some of the credit unions in the area, one of the things that I would say when I took a loan app, I would, in a joking manner, I'd tell them, I said, look, for next 3 to 4 weeks, I am your finance god. You don't buy anything, you don't sell anything, you don't go on vacation. And I play with it and joke with it, but the idea was, I'd let them know that, because the borrower needs to have the proper expectation going into the loan application process. If they have a proper or a clear expectation, then the confusion that can happen towards the end of the loan process is eliminated. It doesn't appear, because they already know what they need to do and how they need to conduct their financial life for that 2 or 3 or 4 weeks it's going to take to close their loan.
Yeah, it's nice when you can educate the client up front and let them know. I like to educate my customers, and I mean, I had just talking about the deposit. You're selling something. I had just closed on a double wide manufactured home purchase about 3 weeks ago. Closed in about 3 weeks, and the client had they sold a trailer, a travel trailer, and the underwriter saw that deposit in the bank statements and wanted to know what was this money, because it was over the 25% threshold of the actual income that she normally brings in. And it definitely was, we got it done. She had to go get the tag from the office.
Right, to show that it was transferred.
Yep.
See, and that's one of those things that, as you were bringing up, the idea of being somewhat of a teacher or an instructor for your borrowers, is being able to let them know, let them learn. And it's kind of a symbiotic process, because as you're learning, helping them learn about the loan process, you're learning about their finances. And if you can do that early on at the point of application, it makes things a lot easier. For example, learning the fact that they've got substantial money for their down payment came from a gift or came from the sale of some other asset. A lot of times, lesser experienced loan officers and processors, they don't catch that. And what happens is when they send something go into the underwriter catches it.
Yeah.
And will kick it back. Well, if the loan officer up front at the point of the interview, when they're talking on the phone or in front of their borrower, if they can ask these kind of questions, okay, where's the money from your down payment coming from?
Right.
You know, things like that. And I've heard you numerous times, because your cubicle used to be across from mine, and you'd be asking them, well, you know, you got $40,000, you know, how long has it been in your bank account?
Yeah.
Has it been there for at least 60 or 90 days? You know, and you're, or you go, oh, well, you know, maybe, you know, sometimes you have to hold an application back so that with from an underwriter, what we would call seasoning has taken place of the money. And that can eliminate, if you just hold off another week or two till the next bank statement drops, you would have your seasoning, and you wouldn't have to go through all the hoops of the extra documentation that the underwriter is going to ask for. And those are those things that I've heard you countless times tell your borrower on the phone, okay, well, let's hold off a week before we submit your application.
Yeah, we want to make sure we submit a clean file.
Right.
That way we don't have to kind of go back to the client, hey, I need this now, and I need this, or I need this letter of explanation for this.
It can be very frustrating if it's done piecemeal like that.
And it's nice is because if we can get everything up front, or which I try to do, because when you resubmit a loan for your clear to close, and let's say you need this letter of explanation, then it goes back to the underwriter, goes to their queue. They have typically 48 hours.
And that's a cut for
Well,
this week.
Hey, thank you very much, Richard.
Bye.
And I appreciate your time today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Chad Sorci at Smarthouse Lending. Give me a call, 813-380-3081. You'll be glad you did. Thank you. Have a great Tuesday.